Today we have, well, you can see what we have. Apple. This comes to us from my good friend Dave at Calmwood Creations. And I'm going to do a little trimming on it. I'm going to get a hole for my woodworm screw. We're going to get this mounted up and get to turning. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, as we like to say here at Shady Acres Woodshop. Howdy. Let's get to it. Well, I just found out I got company coming, so I got to get cracking on this before they get here. We're going to be turning at 560 RPM, 5/8 inch bowl gouge, mask, and face shield on. See if I can pick the speed up any yet. Not a little, about 630. I got an idea how hard this was when I was drilling the hole for my for the flat spot for the chuck jaws to set against. My drill press was working overtime. I never did say what size this is. It's about 8 inches in diameter and about 3.5 inches tall. I'm just looking to see if there's anything here we got to keep for sure. We're going to keep a lot of it, I can tell you that, but we got a ways to go yet. I'm going to come down to the bottom, flatten it off, mark out for probably a tenon, and that'll tell me where I can go with my sides. Ready to go. I also sharpened up again. Oh, look at that. Got some burl in there. Hope we run into that on the inside. Well, I could probably just about mark out for it now. Mark out for the tenon. That looks small though for some reason. I'm going to mark out for that again. I don't know why it would be smaller than it should be. But it sure was, wasn't it? Wonder why. I must have been holding the pencil at an angle or something. I knew it wasn't right. We just barely have a side here, but we do. Now I'm going to use this diamond point tool to square up the sides of the tenon. And that's good. Now we can come back over here to the side and start working on that profile, finish it up. And I picked the speed up to 760. Well, I was going to scrape it, but I kind of don't even have to. It's pretty good. Little bit of shear scraping maybe. Well, not from that far away, I'm not. I like it. The important thing is, do you like it? Still growing hair. I hope you like it. Time for sanding. I'm going to start the sanding with my Sandoflex. This is 180 grit, and that's as fine as I'll go. I'll use that on all of the bark inclusions, any unturned parts, and along this top edge. When I'm done with that, I'll switch to my 2-inch disc starting at 80 grit and working up through 400. I'll have the lathe spinning at about 380 RPM in reverse and forward. And I'll show you what both of those look like as soon as I get my mask on. I'll do a little bit more of that, but that's the general idea. So that's about it. I'll bring you back here in a bit and we'll put some sanding sealer on there. See you in a bit. Well, I'm looking forward to this. I haven't had real good luck with apple. Maybe a couple of pieces were pretty nice, but a lot of times there's just no real grain or color or figure in it. A lot of times it's all cracked and like that. But this piece has all kinds of figure and beautiful grain and color. So I'm grateful for that. You see that, Burl? This is shellac-based sanding sealer I'm applying. I'll apply 2 coats of this, although it really seems to only need 1, but I'll still apply 2. Actually, I'm kind of applying a 2nd coat now, but it doesn't count. And then I'll apply 2 coats of shellac over this. And this is called Zinsser Seal Coat, and then I'll use Zinsser shellac, clear shellac. Shellac's available in a couple of colors. And I'll have to do some brush work here as well. So I've got some sanding sealer in this little can and my brush. I'll do this top edge off camera, you can't see it anyway. So that's pretty much what it's going to look like. The shellac doesn't change things much, it just protects it a little better, gives it a tiny bit more of a shine to it. At least the way I do it, it's a tiny bit. I don't like a real high shine most of the time. And then I always come behind the brush with a rag with fresh sanding sealer on it to wipe up any brush marks or runs or anything. And you gotta work quickly before that dries, because it does dry pretty fast. At least dries to the touch. It's not ready for a 2nd coat, but it's dry to the touch in minutes. Okay, so there you go. That's pretty much what it's gonna look like. I'll bring you back when it's time to start working on the inside. I'm looking forward to that. I hope to see more of that Burl grain in there. Okay, see you in a bit. I have the piece turned around with the tenon mounted up in the chuck. We're going to be turning at 760 RPM, 5/8 inch bowl gouge, mask, and face shield on. see where we are. Oh, pretty grain in there. I think we're about right on the thickness of the edge. Maybe a little bit thinner, but not much. Some tough wood. Yeah, I'm gonna go sharpen up. I am gonna thin it down just a touch. Yeah, that's better. Let's see if I can clean up my cut here a little bit. You can hear how thin that is. I'm not saying it's super thin. What I'm saying is it's thin for a piece like this. This is the wing that has quite a bit of bark inclusions in it. That's pretty solid. That's pretty solid. That's pretty hollow. So that's as thin as we want to go. I know we have a ways to go here, but I want to see what that ways is. Not all that much, about 3/4 of an inch, so another 1/2 inch or so. Better. Oh boy, sharp, sharp. Little pokey things on that edge. Maybe I'll use my scraper, and I'm going to go put a new burr on it. I'll be right back. Okay, we are done. Time for sanding. I'm going to start sanding with a 80 grit disc on my 2-inch disc holder. I've spent a little bit of time already softening this edge because it was so freaking sharp. I'm telling you, I couldn't even handle it. I've done a little bit of sanding around that edge, and now I'm going to use my 80 grit and work up through 400 just like I did on the outside. And I'll show you what that looks like as soon as I get my mask on. The lathe is spinning at 400 RPM. Whoa. Whoa. You see what's happening is this this bark inclusion right here is catching the edge of my disc. I have to hold it up at an angle to keep that from happening. I'm still getting the hang of it. Well, that's going to be kind of a pain, but I'll get it done. I'm going to go ahead and put the finish on the inside so you get the full effect. I've got a beautiful finish on the outside. I can't believe how nice it is. And this is going to look spectacular. So I'll bring you back here in a bit and we'll take the tenon off. See you in a bit. Well, it's time to get the tenon off. I've got a block of wood mounted up in my chuck. I'm going to put a non-slip cloth over that and bring up the bowl. And bring up my tailstock. I still have that center hole there for reference, so I can just drive my live center into that. Bring up my tool rest. I like to be as close to there as I can. We'll spin the piece up, see if it's running true. It's pretty good. Turn the speed up to about 600 RPM. Apply a little more pressure. Gonna grab a 3/8 inch bowl gouge and commence to removing that tenon. I want to stop and check for clearance, and we have clearance. I'm just looking for a space between the shaft of the gouge and the bottom of the tenon here, and we have a space, so that's good. It'll sit on this outside edge and not on the tenon. My work looks pretty good, so I'll just keep working that away, but I do want to get a little bit closer and a little bit higher. Now I've turned the speed down to 400 RPM, and I'm going to switch to a swept back bowl gouge so that I can get in there closer. Now I'm going to turn the speed down to 200 RPM, and I'm going to apply the bevel of the gouge against the bottom of the bowl. Right hand on the gouge, left hand on the switch, and when the little nub stops turning, we'll know we're through. Well, or disintegrates. Sometimes that happens. Then I'll just take this over here to the workbench, sand that up, sign it, get it finished, and I'll be right back. Be sure you stick around to the end of the video so you can see the before and after shots of this piece. If you'd share the video, I'd really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Well, here it is. One apple natural edge bowl in the books. I guess it's a live edge bowl. It's got bark pretty much all the way around. It's got that burl in there. It's got some more on the inside I'll show you. That's my favorite part there, of course. The bark inclusions. There's the bottom all finished up. I even dated this one. The reason I dated it is because I'm going to donate this to a local school auction that they're having to raise money for their choir group. I was asked to do that, so I'm going to do it. What do you think of this? Isn't that cool? This whole area here. Little burl in there. Bark inclusions. A lot of nature in this piece. A lot to like about it, in my opinion. I like it quite a little bit. I'm glad I decided to donate it, or I'd keep it. But as long as I know it's not mine, I don't get too attached. Hope you like it. It was a lot of fun to do. Thank you, Dave from Calmwood Creations, for sending this along for all to enjoy. If you like this video, thumbs up please. I'd sure appreciate it. If you're a subscriber, thank you very kindly. I truly appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber, you might consider becoming one. I put out regular videos about one a week, and I'd like to keep in touch. An easy way to subscribe is just click my picture you see there near the end of the video. Your comments are always welcome, and I love reading them. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.